Zenaida Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida Moya, and I want to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this very informative 1.5 hour show. The objective of this show is to inform, educate, and empower. It is a show that is balanced. It touches and concerns different areas: business, culture, environment, laws, politics, and of course, the economy and society. As an economist and a former head of department and elected official, I feel it is very important that we are equipped with the right information to be able to make right decisions. The views of our guests will be the views of the guests and not necessarily those of myself or this network. Now tonight we have a very important topic. We will be discussing about a very strategic plan, a plan that can definitely help this country economically. As a little backdrop and the relevance and why I'm very happy about tonight's topic. In May to June 2004, during my tenure as the Registrar of Cooperatives and Credit Unions, I attended and completed a workshop in Taiwan. It was a workshop on microfinance experience in Taipei, Taiwan. One of the places that I visited, I did a site visit to it, was a place called Hsinchu Science Park. It was a park, of course, in Hsinchu, Taiwan. This is the result of it. It was an eye-opener for me. And why was it an eye-opener? Because in this very book, now this is from 2004, it showed very keenly how the Taiwanese people had changed their culture and had moved through technological innovation to become one of the leading economies of that region and of course the world. I was very keen on it because Belize shares many similarities with Taiwan. They share the same small size. Taiwan is 13,899 square miles. Of course, Belize is 8,867 square miles. It has a warm climate like Belize. It has rich agricultural, forestry, and marine resources like Belize. It also has a territorial claim over it. China, Belize has Guatemala. It's situated at the center of the Asia-Pacific region. Belize is situated in the center of the Central American and Caribbean region. It has the shortest flight time to major Asian cities. Belize has the shortest flight time, very short flight time to the major US cities. Taiwan is a key conduit to Northeast and Southeast Belize, Southeast Asia. Belize is a key conduit to North and Central America. Whether or not we utilize it to a great extent, that's another story. Unlike Belize though, Taiwan boasts the 13th largest port in the world. Port of Kaohsiung, that's located in the southern part of Taiwan, and it handles 11 million 20-foot equivalent units annually, worth of cargo annually. Anyway, equipped with these information, I returned to Belize. That was in 2004. As registrar, I returned to Belize, and I was intent on furthering my studies, doing a PhD, a doctorate in economics in either the UK, United Kingdom, or Canada. And I selected at the time as my research proposal topic, application of technological innovation. Is it the driving force behind economic development? Unfortunately for me, at that time, I was dealing with a particular issue. I was dealing with the Northern Fishermen Cooperative situation, or mismanagement, if you may. And the then Prime Minister and new Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Cooperatives weren't too keen on me dealing with that issue. Needless to say, I wasn't surprised because I continued to try and address the Northern Fishermen situation. I went ahead and I heard and I got a call from the Ministry of Public Service saying, you know what, you're a shoo-in for one of these scholarships. However, due to your persistence, and they gave reasons. They said your grades, you're a head of department, you're young, the topic that you're selecting, and you've been a very good head of department and so forth. But because I'm persistent with the matter, I won't be receiving my scholarship. Needless to say, a little while after, I continued and I ventured on with my unions, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, and I helped to lead in the negotiations at the time against the government of Belize, and of course in the protest actions that ensued. I didn't become Dr. Zenaida Moya. I instead became the mayor of Belize City on March 1st, 2006. But one of the first initiatives that I did when I became elected as mayor of Belize City was to try and utilize the technological innovation that I had seen, and I tried to get it to Belize City, that I had seen in Taiwan. As I mentioned earlier, I felt that Taiwan was a country that we can look at, and they have this economic success story. I was very interested, and so I worked along with key persons. One of those persons were the Tri-County Black Chamber of Commerce based out of Houston, and they agreed to joint venture with us. They were going to help to bring the technology to Belize to ensure that we became the international conferencing hub. Now, I felt that was important because I felt that it would have brought a lot of development to Belize tourism for one, but it would have brought a lot of investors to Belize, and I felt that was very key in terms of opening the doors for other areas. Unfortunately, some members of my city council at the time did not support that particular entity, so the plan did not materialize. But I still believe that Belize holds a key role. It's the link, and I believe that we can be that link, genuinely be that link. We're the only English-speaking country south of the USA, and we can link all those Central American countries south of the USA. And as I told you, with that, a lot of things can open. Food and agricultural production can increase. Tourism, financial, manufacturing, and industrial sectors can increase. Joint ventures between Belizean and foreign investors would increase. Jobs in tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, and all those areas would increase. And very keen for so many families today, unemployment, poverty, crime, and violence would decrease. But all is not lost, however, as tonight we will be discussing the Gladden Plan. I believe it's an excellent plan, and it incorporates a lot of, it's not the same, I'm not saying it's the same, but it has the same vision, utilizing Belize and placing Belize in its rightful place. And I believe that if it is supported, it can bring that sustainable economic development and growth to Belize. Tonight we have a very eminent person. We have two, but I'm going to introduce this man. He's no stranger to anyone. He is attorney at law and senior counsel, Mr. Hubert Elrington. In 1978, Mr. Elrington was appointed Crown Counsel in the Ministry of in the Attorney General's Ministry until March 1981. He resigned as Crown Counsel due to the heads of agreement, and he went into politics. Needless to say, he emerged in 1984 to 1989, and again in 1993 to 1998 as the Lake Independence era representative, and he was a Minister of Housing, Urban Development and Works under the UDP administration. He was also the Attorney General of Belize during the period 1984 to 1986. Since 1998, he has focused on criminal, civil, and appeals cases. Now, Mr. Elrington, I'm very pleased to have you on this show. Welcome to the Zenaida Moya Show.
Thanks for having me, and good night, listeners and viewers.
Thank you. And we have joining us again, attorney at law and economist, Arthur Saldivar. Arthur have been on the past two shows, and tonight he'll also be discussing this Gladden Plan. As a matter of fact, Arthur, we could say he's Arthur, right? Arthur, or do you want to say it's your grandfather?
It's inspired by my grandfather.
Inspired by grandfather.
Certainly.
Help put together by yourself, right?
Right.
Okay. So I won't speak any further, but I'll ask Arthur, what is the Gladden Plan? And I want the audio, if it's possible, that whatever footage, if it's the first footage, if that can also be played while Arthur speaks as well. But Arthur, what is the Gladden Plan?
Good night, viewers, and good night, Zenaida. The Gladden Plan is the culmination of a vision that was shared with me by my grandfather, Norman Gladden, who was a farmer in the Saboon area. My grandfather explained to me that the roads that were being built, which took us away from the coast, would make it a longer journey and less efficient in taking goods to market than the route that he used with his boat going along the coastline. So that seed of an idea that he planted in me in 1982 inspired me during my course of study to look at Belize from the perspective that my grandfather was looking at it.
Yes.
And in so doing, I was able to look and see and appreciate that the major markets in this region
Yes.
links to Belize at the northern point, Mexico, and at the southern point in Guatemala. Of course, Guatemala is also on the western side of Belize. But we have to appreciate that the most lucrative and prosperous parts of Guatemala lies in its northernmost region in Izabal and Zacapa, where the per capita income is more than $4,800 per capita. The Petén, which is a vast territory, is largely ungovernable and is very poor. So where we have all these links, whether it be at the border with Santa Elena in Benqueviejo area or Jalacte, we are talking about poor people who have more to gain from us than we from them. When in truth and in fact we should be seeking to explore and exploit our links to Guatemala at its northernmost point, our southernmost point at the Sawstone, where you have the more lucrative, the more prosperous, the more people, the greater population with more spending power that we can benefit from more than they can from us.
Okay. Arthur, there's also Robinson Point, all right? That is very key. I don't know if people know a lot about Robinson Point. I believe not a lot of people, maybe Mr. Elrington will know about Robinson Point. But that's a key area in Belize, and could any of you explain to me about this Robinson Point?
Well, Robinson Point, Zenaida, is, I would say, at the dead center point of the country in terms of its coastline. It is about 9 miles south of Belize City, 3 miles off the mainland coast, and it sits right within the main channel, which is the deepest water passage, natural waterway in the country, and it's actually one of the deepest waterways in the region, in the entire Central American region. The depth of the water at Robinson Point goes from 80 feet to 180 feet deep, in fact deeper at some points. It's the place where sharks naturally spawn in Belize. Now, the reason why Robinson Point is key and essential is because during World War II, the British used to use Robinson Point as a place, as a harbor for their ships when they were doing repairs. Presently, the insurance companies in Belize utilize Robinson Point when there are storms out. In fact, you cannot claim insurance if you have a vessel, a seabound vessel, commercial vessel, if you don't take your vessel to moor at Robinson Point.
Arthur, how far is Robinson? Because maybe some viewers have missed it. I know you're looking at the footage, but to give people an idea, how many minutes away by boat would you say Robinson Point is from Belize City? From Belize
City, Robinson Point is less than 20 minutes away. Much less, more likely between 10 to 15 minutes. Depends on what kind of vessel you're in. If you're in a fast boat, and these skiffs, it would be less than 10 minutes.
Okay, and I don't want to just be showing footage, but why and they can move off that footage. Why I want to show the people what we're talking about is because they need to understand that, this is technology, this is industrial. We're trying to move to another level, and some of us may feel that it may be something that's out far-fetched, but it's not far-fetched. And we're showing you how it can be done. Arthur and Mr. Elrington will definitely guide us along tonight and show us how our very own Belize can become a success, an economic success story, as has Taiwan. It's not far-fetched. Taiwan didn't just become this. It also took a culture change, but the people had to come on board, and their government had to also be supportive. So we want to discuss certain areas, but Arthur, I know that there's many different things that are very important, and I read the plan, and in terms of logistics, so you have the logistics park, and they have a little footage, I think a short little 1 minute footage on that, and then they also speak about the industrial park. And I want you to tell us what exactly is this industrial park. And why I'm saying it is because earlier in the show I had mentioned about science parks that the Taiwanese have in their own country, and these parks have been utilized, and we're talking about billions and billions of dollars that passes through this. And so I want us to discuss now in Belize, what are we talking about as it regards to industrial parks? Are we talking about things like the Corozal Free Zone? Are we talking about science parks like these? What are we talking about? And I want to know how these industrial parks, and for the sake of some viewers who may not understand the difference, what exactly is industry? Tell us what we mean by industry, and in so doing, the industrial parks.
In order for me to explain, allow me to lay a little bit of background on this.
Yes.
There is no country in the world that seeks its own development without addressing two major issues: ease of access to raw material, ease of distribution of finished products. If there is any country that seeks development that has not been able, through its infrastructure, to address those two key elements, they will not get far. This is one of the problems that we're having in Belize right now. Because of the way our transportation network is set up, there is difficulty for producers to access raw materials, and there's equal difficulty for producers to send out their finished products to the global market, which makes us uncompetitive. What the Gladden Plan seeks to do is to create greater efficiency in allowing for us to not only tap into the natural resources that we have here in Belize, but the resources that exist in the Central American and North American region as well, Mexico all the way through down to Nicaragua, Panama, and beyond. So in doing that, it's seeking to open up a transportation network. Transportation on land, transportation on sea, yes. Transportation by rail.
Yes.
So all these elements are being combined within the Gladden Plan. Once we have the inflow of raw materials in huge quantities, by virtue of the fact that Belize now will be opened up to be an irresistible port of call, then we have enough spillover for industrial parks to be created. And what are these industrial parks? These industrial parks are areas where the government will invest in infrastructure.
Could they run the footage on the industrial park, please?
Where the government and the private sector would come together to invest in the infrastructure for factories to be set up for multinational corporations within a particular legislative framework. Just the same as was done in Singapore, where you have first the training institutes coming in to train our people as what is to be done, what is to be expected, and how they are going to be a part, and then the factories come after. These things will not happen overnight, of course. It's something that's going to take some time, but it won't take 20, 30 years. We have a university in Belize,
yes,
and we have students leaving Belize every year to go abroad and study. What will happen once the Gladden Plan is accepted and promoted is that you will now open the door for development-focused education. Not this wide open education system where people choose willy-nilly subjects to take without any vision as to where they're going to fit in the economy. We're going to have synergy within the system,
yes,
for people to be plugged into areas where they're needed.
As they did in Singapore.
Precisely.
Yes. Yes. And we have with us Senior Counsel, but also former Minister of Works, Urban Development and Housing with us. So I want us to go to a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask Senior Counsel with all the different roads that have been built, why have we not seen roads built along the coastline? And I also want to ask why there hasn't been a Gladden Plan like development before. Stay tuned.
Everyone benefits when individuals, companies, and entire communities become energy conscious. Energy conservation and efficient energy use, the way towards a happy, healthy Belizean society. Belize Electricity Limited. Our mission is to provide reliable electricity at the lowest sustainable cost, stimulate national development, and improve the quality of life in Belize.
Buying or selling land can be a daunting experience. Don't leave things to chance. When buying or selling land in Belize, seek the professional real estate services of Moya Show and Company Limited. Benefit from our extensive local and international real estate network to find your dream home or to move your property from selling to sold. We are located at 5 miles Philip Bolson Highway. Give us a call at 223-4465 or visit us at www.realestatebz.com.
You are watching music videos, new movies, and live shows. Channel 9, only on the Belize Broadcasting Network. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida Moya, and I have here with me on the show Senior Counsel and Attorney at Law, Mr. Hubert Elrington, and Attorney at Law and Economist Arthur Saldivar. Mr. Elrington, before we went to break, I had asked, why has such a thing like this Gladden Plan not occurred before in Belize? And why have we not seen roads built along the coastline? You have been a Minister of Works before. Perhaps you can shed some light on why this has not happened and your views on this Gladden Plan that Arthur is suggesting, along with his grandfather, may he rest in peace, that we should ensure materialize.
Okay, well, to deal with the first, part of your question, you have to remember that Belize is not basically a country that developed intellectually and technologically, and in terms of incorporating its wisdom and its experience and its knowledge. The things that are used traditionally in Belize are what we experienced from the old colonial days, and the old Maya days, and the old slavery days, and those things still determine where we are going today. The big difference between us and Taiwan, because I was in Taiwan too, and I think you mentioned the big deep water port at Kaohsiung, no?
Yes.
Like that. Yes. I was there too.
Yes.
Belize is totally different in the sense that Taiwan's development is predicated upon knowledge, technology,
yes,
wisdom, experience, capacity.
Yes.
So the people that do not have this kind of richer capacity, the people that have not been enriched and informed by the science and the technology and things like that, do not lead in Taiwan and do not lead in Belize.
Yes.
But these are the people that lead in Taiwan.
Yes.
In other words, you can't be the head of an industry in Taiwan without knowledge, or without the consciousness that you can't do the job if you don't have the required training and knowledge. In Belize, the norm is that, look, you don't really need knowledge to get anything done or anything done well. So you're going to build a road, you don't really need any knowledge.
Oh, wow.
You're going to develop your economy. There is not even a need for an economist in the Ministry of Economic Development. And if you have one there, you don't listen to that one. That's the least important person in the whole of the ministry. So Belize does not have a culture where we understand that we are not going to get anywhere without first understanding how important it is to enrich our people's capacity.
Yes.
To build on our people's capacity by educating them and by making sure that they are competitive in whatever they do. It's not just about going to school or finishing a university course or anything like that. But when you get out there, you have to be competitive. You have to compete with others who have done the same thing or who is in that same area.
Yes.
And you have to show that you are better than them or as good as they are.
Yes.
So the people who don't have the capacity will eventually understand that they can't be major players. But today the major players, all the major players, or let's say 95% of the major players are people who nobody would recognize as having any capacity at all to do development, to do growth, to do anything to do with getting the country moving.
Mr. Elrington, our major players are our ministers of government. Those are major players.
Whether we look at our industry, which is an infant industry in Belize, whether you're talking about the cane industry,
yes,
whether you're talking about the citrus industry, whether you're talking about the banana industry, whatever other industry you're talking about, these are not industries that are science and technology driven. These are industries that develop from the need to meet a business need, and then maybe a good local businessman with some common sense, you know, because apparently that is the cure-all for Belize, common sense. If you have common sense, you can perform the surgery. If you have common sense, you can go and you can pilot the aeroplane. If you have common sense, you can do anything that is difficult and requires training.
So we have to change our culture totally, because we can't continue like that. The first thing that we have to do, the very first thing that we have to do is understand that what we are building is an idiotocracy. You see, it is not about building a beautiful economy or a massive economy or anything like that. Because I heard you just now, and I heard Mr. Arthur Saldivar talking about the Guatemalan potential. But then look at Mexico. If Guatemala is 10 on the scale, Mexico is 100 on the scale. So we are between two areas that we can really do a lot of development with. And when you go outside of Mexico, you hit the United States and Canada, the real giants of the world. Yes.
So why we remain puny? Why we remain lacking in capacity? Why we remain almost totally ignorant, without science, without technology, without understanding, and without insisting on the importance. It's like when we had Manuel Esquivel as our Prime Minister and he was doing his physics. Nobody thought that it was important that there was a scientist there. Let's get rid of him and let's put somebody else in.
Okay.
But you can't replace the science. You can't replace the technology. You can't replace the knowledge. You can't replace the experience that easily. You see, because they have got to be at the forefront at all time if we are going to develop. No, we don't have to develop. We can remain just as we are. We can even get worse. But if you have to understand one thing, and you have to get one thing clear in your mind, and you have to focus on it as a nation, that the way to develop is by using the science, the technology, the wisdom, and the knowledge of the age. So Simple Simon really doesn't have a place. Solomon Slow doesn't have a place. Johnny Sly might be a very interesting person, and Nancy might be another very interesting person, but they don't have any place at all in the development of a modern country.
Maybe following, but certainly not leading. Arthur, there's certain things that business persons, they consider, investors consider. And I saw in the Gladden Plan that as it regards a particular area, high energy costs, I saw that the Gladden Plan seeks to deal with that issue, seeks to address that issue. I like to see that wind farm footage Speak on that. How can investors get into our industry? We can't just depend on our government to deal with issues. And yes, we do have a chamber of commerce, but we have to set certain infrastructure in place and show them alternatives.
The plan is private sector driven, first and foremost. It's deficit neutral in that it's not going to require the government to come out of pocket with any funding to develop any of the things necessary to bring it into fruition.
Yes.
All it requires from the government is eminent domain and the exercise of eminent domain for the land space. What we seek to do with energy.
Speak, inform. I know what is eminent domain, but please.
Okay. Eminent domain is the principle of law that is within the grasp of any sovereign government to put against each other the interest of the public against the interest of the private individual, where the private individual holds within his possession something that can be used for the public good. The government can always, for the public good, utilize that asset of the private individual and make it available to the public. It has been abused in Belize to some degree, and we have to look at this. But where we are talking about this particular plan and the access to land for a public purpose, which is the building of roads, the building of parks, the building of schools, the building of hospitals, all of these things allow for the government to utilize what may be presently in private hands for public use under that principle of eminent domain. So what the plan seeks to do is to have government invoke that, invoke eminent domain, allow for private lands to be made available for the public use. Private individuals will come on board to finance, once government invokes eminent domain, that stretch to make the road possible. In order to power the coast, because you know, of the 240 miles of coastline in Belize with all the contours, only 50 miles have development with all the towns, whether it be Punta Gorda Town, Landriga Town, Corozal Town, and Belize City, with all the villages in between. It's only 50 miles of the 240, so there's 190 miles of land on our coast that has little or no development at all. What we seek to do is to have 300 acres of wind turbine farm within those coastal districts that will generate enough power, not only to power the coast and development on the coast, but will also complement the water, the hydroelectric plant, and would take us completely off our reliance on Mexican energy. Now, this is green energy. This is something that will allow for us to be able to maintain our status as a non-carbon violator, that we can still utilize our forest and our eco-friendly status by promoting the renewable use of renewable energy for the creation of electrical generation for our own usage. It is something that will basically attract a lot of investors to come to Belize, because they will see themselves not as being detractors or destroyers of the environment, but as promoters of good, healthy environment.
Okay, I want to take a short break, because when I come back, I want that we discuss certain things that I feel is very important. We have been, first of all, I want to discuss how long you propose this 200-mile, what is it, 4-lane highway along the coast would take. I want to discuss the cost of it. What you're talking about, are you saying the industrial parks should be built as the road go along these particular districts? It's Corozal district, Belize district, Stan Creek, and Toledo. Or is it that after this road, build the 200-lane, 200-mile road, and then we put in the industrial parks, of which, again, those industrial parks are very key because it lends sustainability to the whole project. It lends sustainability in that it won't just be a road, because I want to also speak speak with Miss Elrington about certain things too. We see the Boom Road being built, it has been built, but we don't see any houses or shops going up along that Boom Road. And then if this plan is so wonderful, Arthur, should our government of Belize want to come on board? Is it something that Guatemala and our government should look at as a possible solution, or something that can factor in to ensuring that we try to deal with this unfounded claim by Guatemala? Could it be a win-win situation that it will also help them in terms of the lowering of costs for their own exports up to North America or wherever? Stay tuned.
Fast, comfortable, affordable, and powered by the trusted Cummins ISF 2.8-liter turbo diesel engine. We change the way the game is played. The new Photon tunneling truck and View CS2 van. Available at Universal Hardware. Photon, the game changer is here.
Come and dine at our Belizean-owned restaurant for your hunger cravings. We offer a variety of fried and grilled finger foods and local dishes. We also do catering and host small socials and children's parties. Enjoy a relaxing and safe environment with your family and friends at affordable prices with excellent customer service. We are located at Mile 1 on the Philip Golson Highway across from Gonzalo Quinto and Sons. Call us at 667-2200 for orders and deliveries. Cravings, where patience equals fresh food.
You are watching music videos, new movies, and live shows. Channel 9, only on the Belize Broadcasting Network.
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida Moya, and joining me tonight are attorneys at law, Hubert Elrington and Arthur Saldivar. There's a project, Arthur, called the Mesoamerica Project. And it also deals with an international network of Mesoamerica highways. Now you're talking about a 200-mile 4-lane highway. Does this compete or complement with this Mesoamerica project?
It would not compete with it. It would actually complement it. What it seeks to do, because the coastline of Belize is the shortest distance between Mexico and Guatemala. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to travel, time is money.
Yes.
Belize, by virtue of our stability or system of governance, we don't have the kind of crime that exists in parts of Mexico and parts of Guatemala. And in relation to what we're talking about right now, in particular will be the area of Chiapas.
Chiapas, that's right.
Where most of the commercial traffic goes presently. Chiapas is mountainous, it is arduous terrain, it is overrun with bandits. Insurance costs to move your product through Chiapas is about 100 times more than anywhere else within Guatemala. However, it is the only way to get your products from Guatemala to Mexico and Mexico to Guatemala as it is presently constructed. Now, what the Gladden Plan proposes is to be able to facilitate that trade between Mexico and Guatemala, yes, via Belize. And it's not going to be a free move, because the 4-lane highway that connects Mexico and Guatemala along our coast would be a toll road, would not be a free thoroughfare.
Okay.
They would have to pay.
Yes.
What that does for us, it extends the productive life, the productive day, goes from 8 to 5 presently, we'll extend it to 24-hour production where money is being made around the clock.
Yes.
Because every toll booth is like a bank. You pass it, you got to make a deposit, and that deposit goes to the National Treasury. In part.
What kind of money are we talking about in terms of the costs for this particular 200 mile lane? Do you have an approximate figure? I mean, I'd want to know if you have an approximate figure as it regards just the road, and then also the additional costs for the industrial parks that you're talking about in the 4 districts, because this is something that I try to utilize and bring development to the different districts. So what are we talking about in terms of costs?
In terms of costs, we are talking between $2.5 to $4 billion. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
The road entails a series of bridges. It entails raised structures, trusses.
Yes.
Because we'll also be traversing wetlands. So as we traverse wetlands, we're not seeking to drain swamps or disrupt habitat.
Yes.
We're looking to go the same way, in much the same way that Flagler did in 1926.
Yes.
When he connected the Florida Keys with Miami.
Yes.
He basically utilized existing natural structures and raised his railway. That railway is now a road that connects the Florida Keys with Miami. Now, we have the benefit of modern technology that Flagler did not have back then, to be able for us to do it in a less intrusive way, where we can also preserve what we have in terms of our natural habitats.
Yes.
So this is what factors into the cost. The traditional cost, or what we understand as the cost of constructing a 1 mile stretch of road in Belize, is about $1 million a mile.
Yes.
But we're talking about roads that have foundation already. In most of what we're doing now,
and there are 4 lanes.
That what we'll be doing in the Gladden Plan, we're talking about going through virgin territory to construct roads. But where we meet and encounter wetlands, we're talking about an elevated road, not a road at ground level.
Okay. All right. And then in terms of this road, I mean, Mr. Elrington, this is a plan that I see could definitely help Belize and Guatemala amongst the other countries. I mean, I see that it could definitely be beneficial to both. Do you think this could be a factor in terms of us trying to reach an amicable solution over the unfounded Guatemala claim?
Well, I don't think that if we bring something to the table that is going to help the Guatemalans in a significant way, they are going to view us with less favor. Because we do that, I think they will be more disposed to hearing from us, to working along with us, to talking to us, if we do something like that. But I would like us to focus on the energy section, because remember you were talking about the wind energy and the wind turbines.
Correct.
And the use of what we call acquisition.
Yes.
The government is going to use its power to acquire property. And it's put in a fancy phrase of eminent domain. But basically you're going to go and acquire people's property because it's going to be useful to do so for a public interest. No. That might be one way of doing it.
Yes.
Much of the land along the seashore that you might need to put these turbines on, the wind turbines on, much of the land might still be controlled by the government or under the government's power to dispense of it. So the government might not need to be taking much land from people.
Very good.
But we have to understand that Belize's topography is you have the flat sea
Yes.
You have a very big ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, coming into a flat sea, the Caribbean Sea,
Yes.
coming into our very, 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 very calm, almost coastal water, because our waters, the internal waters, are behind the Barrier Reef.
Yes.
So we have very special topography there. Now, between say from the coastline to mile 10 inside,
Yes.
it's still flat and swampy,
Yes.
especially in the north, the northern part of the country.
Yes.
But going down to the south, it begins to rise gently, so that when you travel between here and Rockville, it's only 23 miles,
Yeah.
and you find some of the big hills.
Yes.
We are already accessing, we are living in kind of swampy situations in Belize City.
Yes.
But 23 miles away, you see, you're already in the big hills.
Correct. Yes.
You see?
Yes.
No, there are about 130 waterfalls in Belize. And they have developed the technology in the United States, in Canada, and in other places where they use water turbines. They harness, wherever they find a waterfall, they go there with a water turbine and they harness that power. But in addition to that, we are flooded with light, photovoltaic, sun power.
That's right.
So the reason why we are a net importer of energy is because we are an asinine people. There's no other reason for it. When it comes to wind, when it comes to sunlight, when it comes to water, for generating current, Belize has it all.
That's right. That's right.
But the problem is how we think. You see, we believe that the idiot is a good person to have around. Whether we are in the cabinet, whether we are in the House of Representatives, whether we are in the law courts, get the idiot. He is the man that we are going to rely on. Let him lead. And we can't do it that way. We cannot do it that way.
Yes.
Belize must understand.
Yes.
The time has come for Belize to understand it can't be done that way. You're not going to develop your energy. Now, if you take a young man from any of the villages or from any town, or a young woman, you meet that young man and young woman is only making $25 a day or something like that. But if you educate him, or if you give him a skill,
that's right,
he ceases to be a $25 a day worker. You turn him into a $50 or $100 a day worker. But the only way you can do it is by giving him more education or more skill or more knowledge. That's how you do it. We don't want to do that. We want to have them running around like they are cowboys shooting each other. It's a crazy set of people.
Yeah, we have to.
And we have to say to our people, look, stop the craziness. Stop this asinine behavior. Stop being stupid. We have to go and take them individually, one by one, and give them more capacity. You have to give capacity to your people. One by one, you capacitate them, or incapacitate them, or you give them more ability and skill, one by one, so that the 1st of January they are only able to earn $25 a day. But by the end of December of that same year, because you have been working on them, you have been helping them, you have been giving them skills and abilities, they are now able to earn $100.
And you know, Mr. Enter, we have a day. We have certain very skilled people, but the there has to be a culture change.
Problem.
We have, sometimes the government, I believe, they don't utilize the brains in this country, and in so doing, a lot of our intelligent minds, because sometimes of partisan reasons, they are just bypassed, and for expediency, sometimes other people really less qualified take on certain key positions that we need the brightest minds. You spoke about Taiwan and why they have been able to grow and have that economic success. We have bright minds. I'll tell you, I continuously look at people and they're amazing. They're incredible Belizeans. A lot of them have felt the need to leave our country, unfortunately, because of opportunities. Now this plan is speaking about opportunities at all levels. So not only the professionals and the higher skilled, but the medium, the lower, those fresh out of school at all levels, whether it's high school or sixth form or university. This plan is something I feel that, Arthur, how long has this plan been around and why hasn't it materialized? Have you brought this forth before? Why has this not materialized? I want to understand this.
Well, I think it will go back to what Mr. Elrington mentioned in his first segment about the idiocracy that is being created. The plan has been put out there. In fact, the first time the plan was made public was on a show on Plus TV called Spotlight on Belize with myself and my friend Mr. Elrington.
Yes.
And but privately it was made available to members of the People's United Party, and it was launched as something that the party should consider going forward, but that was never done. That being said, one of the main reasons why we are not getting anywhere is because it depends on who an idea comes from. It's either accepted or dismissed. So the idea is never taken on its own merit. It's dependent largely on where it's coming from, as opposed to whether it's feasible, not feasible or not. But I want to go back to something, Zenaida, quickly.
Yes.
Because I believe it is important, and it's important for our viewers to appreciate and understand. Where it relates to Belize and Guatemala, and what can happen in the future for us, we must remember the past. In 1859, when Guatemala and England were negotiating, there were no Panama Canal in existence then. Guatemala had as its national aspiration the connection of the Atlantic coast with the Pacific coast, both of which are in Guatemala.
Yes.
The Bay of Amatique and the Bay of Jutiapa. Okay. Amatique is on the Atlantic, Jutiapa is on the Pacific. But in 1859, the ships were very small. They're not as large as they are now.
Yes.
So presently, Guatemala is pursuing the construction of a dry canal. The same thing they wanted to do back in 1859. With the assistance of the Chinese and the Spanish, they are seeking to get it done now. It's going to cost them $9.6 billion to do, and they're well on the way to getting it done. However, there is still the impediment of not being able to accommodate the largest ships, which Belize, by virtue of our positioning and by virtue of the deep water we have in Robinson Point, can alleviate for them. So we can bring Guatemala and ourselves in a position to compete and surpass the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal can only allow for one ship to pass through in a 24-hour cycle, utilizing the locks system that they have. Even though it has been made wider, it has been made wider to accommodate larger ships carrying more containers, but it has not been made larger to accommodate more than one vessel going through at a time. The vessels line up and they go one after the other through a raised and lowering of the channels with water, and they pass through. That's how it goes. But the present technology that we have can offload 6 Panamax ships in a span of 18 hours. And Mr. Elrington will tell you that there is a Beijing-Shanghai railway, speed rail, that can move a train of 2 miles long over a 1,139 kilometer distance in less than 4 hours. In less than 4 hours. The distance between Robinson Point and Hotiapa is less than 1,139 kilometers.
And then one of the things that needs to be looked at before we go to break, one of the things that needs to be looked at is the fact that the ships that would be passing along Robinson Point now, whereby they used to have to store so much fuel with Robinson Point. Now this, we're not talking about no oil exploration, okay? We're talking about a possible fueling depot, so that, let's say there were half the fuel that they had to store. Now they can do away with that half, that 50% fuel, bring more cargo, and fuel up right at Belize. So it would be a situation whereby, of course, Belize can make further money, but it would help them in terms of utilizing Robinson Point, utilizing and ensuring they stop in Belize, which is a good thing. One of these days we're going to have to discuss also about that the tourism plan that Mr. Finstein had, no? Because that's another thing that we need to discuss. But we're going to go to break now. But when we come back, I definitely want us to look at that situation. But I want to go ahead and also see why the government should try to support this initiative, how it will help our Belizeans, and also the region. How will it help us, the USA, Canada, Mexico, Central America, and what the average Belizean and investor can do to ensure this plan becomes a reality. I want to hear from Mr. Elrington as it regards to those areas. Stay tuned.
This year's holiday season, we're doubling reasons to share a chair and have some fun. Let's double your chair with Western Union. Double the laughter, double the feeling, double excitement, double the season. Start sending to your loved ones. Let's double your chair with Western Union.
'Tis the season for sending and winning with Western Union. Send or receive any qualifying money transfer through December 31 and be automatically entered for a chance to win double your transaction amount up to a weekly $250 prize. This is doubling your Christmas cheer. This is Western Union, moving money for better. Complete rules at participating agent locations.
Buying or selling land can be a daunting experience. Don't leave things to chance. When buying or selling land in Belize, seek the professional real estate services of Moya Shepherd and Company Limited. Benefit from our extensive local and international real estate network to find your dream home or to move your property from selling to sold. We are located at 5 miles Philip Bolson Highway. Give us a call at 223-4465 or visit us at www.realestatebz.com.
You are watching music videos, new movies, and live shows. Channel 9, only on the Belize Broadcasting Network.
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida Moya, and this is our final segment. But this discussion can't end tonight. We have with us Mr. Hubert Elrington and Mr. Arthur Saldivar. Now, before we went to break, we spoke about Robinson Point, and we spoke about the possibility that the cost of shipping, the cost of these cargo passing through, it would go down, no? The cost would reduce. What else could happen? And I want to know what have materialized. We're talking about a 200-mile 4-lane highway. Is it far-fetched? Is it something that won't happen in our lifetime? Mr. Elrington?
I think what we have done here tonight is put forward a new idea. We have entered the realm of ideas.
Yes.
Now, this is something which is new to Belize, but which Taiwan, Singapore, Japan survive on.
Correct.
We have to move from the realm that we are used to living in into a new realm, which is the realm of ideas.
Correct.
You don't have a speed train that is the fastest in the world. You don't have a jet engine that can take you from one part of the world to the next in one half the time or a quarter of the time, unless you're dealing with ideas. You don't talk about container ships replacing the old way we used to bring cargo in without talking about ideas. So what we have done tonight, I think, or what this Gladden Plan has done, is to bring ideas to the table. Now the environmentalist is going to say, look, it's too close to the sea. It's too close to the reef.
Yes.
Anything gets, you're talking about commerce and trade, and it gets so near to the reef, you're getting these people scared.
Yes.
Okay.
Possible spills, you're going to be afraid.
For me, the person that I fear the most, Simple Simon and Tom Fool, because they are the people that have controlled our country. They have a grip on our country. When I went behind Lake Independence, a lot of people there wanted to physically beat me. Because they thought that I had come there to make things worse for them. I didn't go there to make things worse for them. The other day, a man right from Lake Independence sold a piece of land along Mahogany Street for $140,000. When I went into the bush and came through, I left the coastal road behind me.
Yes.
When I went down to Monkey River, through the bush, and I came through, I left the Monkey River road behind me. We converted all those old bridges along the Belize River Valley into good modern bridges. You don't need any ferry again. But one of the things that I had to do was to say to Simple Simon and Tom Pool, hold on, give me a little break. Too many stupid people exist who will tell you that you don't need knowledge, common sense is enough. Too many stupid people will tell you that you don't need technology. We have to face these realities. We have to look on these people and we have to say to them, enough. We have had enough of you. You have held the country back long enough. Where is Derek Yakeman? Where is Zenaida Moya? Where are people like Chester Garcia or Philip Golson? Where is Manuel Esquivel? Let's say the idiots have it. But it's not going to help us.
Yeah, we can't continue.
We cannot continue with this. This is crazy. This is not what we want to do. We need to have ideas on the table. The environmentalists might not agree that the Gladden Plan is a good thing. You have to bring them in and hear what they have got to say.
That's right.
I prefer rail travel. I don't like the automobile and the truck and things like that. I don't like them at all. I prefer the rail and the train, and I prefer that levitation and that jetting and that things like that that is in the
In Shanghai, it's what, 240 something miles?
The 400 and odd kilometers an hour. I like that kind of thing. The bullet train, you have one of them in England that runs from England to London to Scotland every day. They might be doing more than one trip a day. No, I don't know. I haven't been there for some time.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, I might prefer turbine that are driven by water rather than turbine that is driven by wind. Another man might prefer the photovoltaic cells so that we only use light to make us rich in energy.
Correct.
Another person might say, you know something, if we can take each Belizean, every single Belizean at the beginning of the year, and give him in a deliberate way, or give her in a deliberate way, more knowledge, more skill, more ability. At the end of the year, we'll be able to stuff more money into his pocket. Give him more capacity. Give him more ideas. And get him out there, get her out there to be a better citizen of this world and a better human being. That is what we want. I
always tell people, I always say, you know what? I wish everybody around me were smarter than me, faster than me, better than me. You know why?
So the country,
my life would be easier.
That's right.
My life would be really easier.
You see, the country is really being held back by Simple Simon and Tom Fool. Those are the two people that has held this country back. And we have to say to them, look man, enough is enough. We are going down into an economic slide now. It's a steep slide. You don't need to go down into any economic slide. Let's bring the thing around a table. Let's put people around the table who have ideas, and let's get out of this mess. Every now and again you hear you're going to ask the bond holders to please forgive you. You go there crawling on your knees. They should give you a kick in your backside.
We're taking a rich country and we're popularizing.
We need to move away from this kind of posture.
Here's the situation today. The coastline. The coastline boasts the most valuable land per surface area of any part of the country. Now hear this. When you talk about value, land in San Pedro, land in Placencia. In San Pedro, in the town on the beach, land goes for 12 to 18,000. On the backside, where on the lagoon side, it's going from 8 to 10,000. This is.
But look at Belize City. I'm trying to buy a piece of land in West Landiva or Caribbean shores for less than $100,000.
But that's what I'm saying.
Very difficult.
When we're talking about land in the island and on the coast, we're not talking about square footage. We're talking about the length of the ruler. So we're talking about 12 to 18,000 per running foot. Now in Placencia has the most valuable land per running foot of anywhere. 20 to 25,000 US per running foot in Placencia. Now when you take that and you juxtapose it to the mile, there's 5,280 feet in a statute mile. If you take the values, and let's use a moderate figure of 3,500, let's say 3,500 per foot. It would give you a value of a mile at $16,480,000 US per mile. Put that now to the 240 mile coast, and it swamps the debt. The debt cannot stand up to the value of the coastline alone. If we were to activate the coastline and make it an economic asset.
But none of it belongs to the ordinary Belizean. None of it, not 1 square centimeter of it belongs to the ordinary Belizean.
And that's what I had.
And that is the person we have to empower. We have to say we want to empower the ordinary Belizean.
And that's exactly what we'll be doing. Look at this. When you jump ship stern, you're coming down into Bomba Village, which would be affected and impacted. The value of Bomba Village and the land Bomba would go up.
It's already won by the The whole of the area is gone. The whole of it is already gone.
Hence the reason.
Yeah.
Hence the reason. You see, one of the things that we need to do in Belize is to encourage alienation of land by these large landowners. Yes, we have Elrington 2 owning over 25,000 acres between Shipstern and Lucky Strike. We have the Ruffin owning something like 60,000, between 15,000 acres plus between Lucky Strike and Sand Hill. Then we have Jack Parsons in the South Creek Estate owning some 7,000 acres. So coming down the line, there are huge land holdings in the hands of private individuals who got their land holdings during the colonial era, many of them, and some after, through some shady land deals. But in order for us to get those lands, for example, we had Balam Jungles, which is 85,000 acres. They couldn't pay their tax. So what they did, they gave government 9,000 acres right in the middle of the 85,000 that cannot be accessed in lieu of taxes. I mean, this is because some of the foolish decisions that we make.
These things have to come and be put on the table.
These are
things we have to discuss.
The plan will put all these things on the table.
The plan is already putting these things.
Yes.
So the first part of the plan is developing into a discussion phase.
Yes, that's right.
This is what this plan is. What I see that this plan is doing right now is getting the Belizean sitting out there and listening. It's getting him to the edge of his chair.
That's
and
right.
it's getting him interested. It's saying, well, look, I may have something in this.
Yes.
There might be something in this for me and my pocket.
Every
and my
Belizean.
family.
Every Belizean.
And it might be something very, very, very valuable. It might move me from being up, because when that man along Lake Independence, when he got that piece of land, he paid like $300 for it. He sold it for $140,000. So right away he can see the sense of development.
That's right, that's right.
His neighbor can see the sense of development. The people living along Mahogany Street and LaCroix Boulevard and those areas can see the sense of development, because it means money in the pocket and in the hands of the ordinary man and woman. And that, if the Gladden Plan does nothing else but allows us to start a discussion in Belize, allow us to say to Tom Fool and allow us to say to Simple Simon, we don't want to hear anything more from you. You have messed up the country enough. Then the Gladden Plan would have made a major contribution
well, we have to make
the development of our country.
We have to make that happen. And tonight we brought the Gladden Plan to you. We will have to discuss further, Ms. Elrington, Arthur, this plan, because it has to, this was just an introduction, but we also need to bring on board certain persons that it would also impact. We need to bring the average man, woman. You know, we have certain key people that are advocates.
The environmental.
Yes. And so we need to bring them on board, because we want to hear the different ideas. So we'll be doing just that. We'll also be posting on the Zenaida Moya Facebook page certain clippings of that we showed tonight, and as well as the Gladden Plan, so you can also read for yourself, see what has been discussed. So when we discuss this again, you will be fully knowledgeable of what it is that we're talking about. Even as Robinson Point, if you've never heard about it and all those areas, you need to know. So again, that's the Zenaida Moya Show Facebook page. The show will also be repeated on BBN Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9:30 a.m., Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m., Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 1 p.m. I want to invite everyone to continue liking the Zenaida Moya Show Facebook page, giving us your comments, your views on the show's topics. I want to thank the distinguished panel we have here, of course, Mr. Hubert Elrington. I must say you are one of the minds, you are one of the persons that I always, when you are anywhere and you're talking, I have to listen. You command that respect, You're one of our key thinkers, and so I'm very pleased that you could have joined us tonight.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Always happy to be here.
Thank you, and I hope you'll be able to come back on the show as well. Belize needs to hear more from great thinkers. As well as you, Arthur, your plan, your grandfather's plan, because you don't want to take credit for it. We will need to discuss further about this. So thank you for sharing this and really listening to your grandfather and helping it to materialize and further into a well-written, well-thought-out plan. I want to thank our sponsors, Belize Electricity Limited, Cravings Restaurant, Moya Shepherd and Company Limited, Universal Hardware, Zitra International, Slingshot Advertising and Signs, Rocky Salon Studio. I want to thank you for supporting this initiative of us trying to educate, inform, and empower the Belizean people. I want to thank you, the viewers. Thank you for all your support, whether it's in the Facebook page or whether it's submitting questions, just telling us that you enjoy watching the show. I want to thank our show's production team. I want to thank, of course, my little son Kelvin and my daughter Natalia and the rest of my family and friends. Thank you for inspiring me, along with the Belizean people, to do this show. Join me next week, Monday, December 19th, for another edition of the Zenaida Moya Show. With that said, have a safe, blessed week. God bless you all.